And welcome to the show, everyone. This is Everything Under the Sun. My name is Ty, and today we are doing another follow up episode of the show. And for those of you that may not know, follow up episodes are basically just shorter episodes that are covering topics that have already been discussed, but kind of adding a new segment to it or kind of adding some new information to it. So many of you may have expected the episode on taking risks, and that's going to be an episode that is going to be aired next week. And I have some special plans for that episode, so keep an eye out or an ear out for that. And yeah, it should be a good episode. So today we are doing a follow up on music, which was the last episode that I did, and I am very happy to welcome a guest to the show, DJ SnackieChan, or as I know him, my good friend Torrin Robinson. Torrin.
Hey, what's up, Ty?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for being here today.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Sweet. Yeah, no, I know things have been kind of crazy just with everything going on. How have you been with all this COVID stuff happening?
All politics aside, I think it's been really quite enjoyable, actually. I mean, I think there's a lot of silver lining in the clouds here because there's a lot of opportunity to be creative and to do things at home and to I've been really enjoying gardening and just kind of establishing the house, working on the car, whatever needs to happen. So that feels really good to me personally.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. I mean, it's actually really refreshing to hear just when people are speaking about just the positive things and the silver linings, as you said, that can come out of just this situation that's not the most ideal for people, but finding that way of staying mindful of yourself and staying creative and kind of trying to do things that are helpful.
Right.
um so today I brought you on the show here because I spoke about music in my last episode, and I kind of completely missed speaking about, I guess, DJs and music makers, and you are someone that makes music, a DJ. You've played in front of people and you make music. As you said, your creativity is kind of going during this time. So I guess just to start off, what kind of music do you make?
Oh, well, I guess currently I'm really excited about a lot of drum and bass styles and jungle styles. And then I think the techno kind of is always in the background, is always a building block. Those two or three or four or a million or however you want to break it down, those are all kind of really interesting to me right now. And yeah, I feel like I've really been learning a lot more about those genres lately, and I feel like I continually learning more, and I'm grateful, super grateful that I've been able to start sharing it a little more, and it feels good to it's a hobby, and I don't consider myself a pro, but I do consider myself a pretty prolific hobbyist, if you could put it that way or something like that, you know what I mean? And so it feels good to be able to share it a little bit and for people to receive it. And not every song is for everybody, and not every and I big ups to all my teachers along the way, and yeah, it's been really fun. I feel like I still have a long ways to go, and I really want to keep evolving and keep learning new genres and learning new techniques and new sounds. And so yeah, it's an endless journey. But right now, I feel like I've been in the drum and bass world.
Very nice. And that's something that you said that was really interesting, is that you see yourself as more of like a hobbyist that with making music. And something I found so interesting is that when I look at interviews of different artists and people that are making music and get paid for it in different capacities, a lot of times like they're very surprised that people are paying them to do something that they consider to be a hobby before, like something that they love, something that they enjoy doing, and that people are willing to pay them for now. And I think that's something so amazing, how you can have something that brings you so much passion and joy and just expression of interest and creativity, and find meaningful ways of utilizing that.
Right. Yep, totally. I think it's a beautiful thing. It seems like such a natural thing for. I think that's a great example of how natural it can feel for people, and how they're kind of surprised that there's a market, for it, because it just feels like something you want to do naturally, and it feels like a flow state and a meditation and just a place you can go. So it's, and then for people to receive that with like, oh yeah, we can take you to the next level, or we want to broadcast this.
Mhm.
That's really neat. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, music's so dynamic, and I guess like with the vast amount of music out there, all the different genres and styles and combinations that you can make, your interest is drum and bass, and like what you're doing mainly is drum and bass. I guess what called you to that style of music? Was it just purely interest, or did you find something else with it?
Yeah, well, first heard drum and bass, I think, when I heard Fabric Live. It was the Marcus Intellects mix on Fabric Live mix, and that was a good cycling mix. I loved to ride my bike and listen to that mix, along with some other Fabric Live mixes. That was kind of some of my introductions to the DJ world and the electronic world. So then more recently, in the past year or two, I've been hanging out with this crew around here called the Storytimers, and they've been really nice and welcoming, and noticed that I had an interest and have been taking me under their wing and inviting me to their parties and let me play some sets. And we've been making some original tunes every once in a while. Got projects in the works, so that's been a real blessing. Big up Storytimers and Roughcraft and Scribs and Joe and Mowgli and Elle and all the crew over there for kindling my interest in the jungle and the drum and bass.
Very nice. It sounds like a good set of like collaborations happening there, and I guess when people put their heads together, I mean, amazing things can happen. You know.
Totally, yeah.
Um, so I mean, I guess like yeah, this has been a journey for you as you've kind of like moved along in this genre and moved as you've kind of progressed in your music making. But when did it all start? Like when did this journey start for you as far as just starting to create music?
Well, it probably was somewhere in between 2008 and 2009, and with my buddy Jake. He had a computer and he had downloaded Fruity Loops on it, and so we were just kind of throwing samples on and just making whatever, and really having fun with it. Really enjoyed all my times making music with Jake. He was my first music making partner. I think he goes by Dan Ketsu now. It's like DANK and ETSU, Dan Ketsu, and on SoundCloud. And
Nice.
yeah, big ups Dan Ketsu and Jake. You're my buddy forever. And we started together, just messing around, and it was like that for years. It was just kind of a thing we did for fun. And then eventually, someone bought a keyboard and somebody bought a pair of speakers and got a little more into it. And so, I guess that's how it got started. Was just on with my buddy Jake on a laptop, hanging out in Capitola Village in Santa
Nice.
Cruz. Yeah.
So I guess I mean like you mentioned a few different artists as you kind of spoke about this journey that you've been going on. And I guess were any of them like your inspiration? Did you have any specific inspirations as far as artists that you were really looking up to, or just like whatever really excited this interest within moving in this genre or moving in this domain of making music?
Yeah, I mean, I would probably go all the way back to, just my love of music in general, I guess, like from a young age, and could give credit to my godfather and my parents and my lot of family friends along the way, providing some cool music. Like, I was introduced to Radiohead pretty young, and I really liked that, and it was kind of dissonant and trippy, and I liked where it took me, and that was also one of my first intros to, the kind of electronic world, because they do a lot of real abstract type stuff. So yeah, that was a big world that I was interested in. And then the also like Boards of Canada and just kind of some strange stuff. Also really loved metal. I was really into metal for a long time. Loved Metallica. I loved Tool. I loved all the I loved a lot of big stuff. And then I also got involved in a local metal scene and went to a lot of metal shows and was really, really into that for a long time. And I think rhythmically and emotionally, it's just really powerful music. So I think that was probably a big influence just in my love of rhythm and music and just the power that it can have, And so, and I guess I could also go back to those Fabric Live mixes, like I said, the Marcus Intellects and Caspa and Rusco and the Pat Murphy and James whatever, anyway, great mixes. And man, I gotta give a shout out to my mentors, locally when I was younger, like my buddy Jake, my buddy DJ Word, big up DJ Word, Austin Wood, Mist Glider, my friend Dubamine, who lives right around the corner from my mom for a long time. So that was really cool to hang out with him. He's got massive tunes. You got to check him out.
Nice. Yeah.
And gosh, yeah, I think so many influences. Like I said, it just seems like what I wanted to do, regardless of whether it was going to pay me or not, which is not still, but maybe someday, you know what I mean? But yeah, it just feels right. It just feels like the place I need to be, and I go sometimes to, really dwell and create things that kind of reflect how I'm feeling, or create things to change how I'm feeling.
Yeah, I love. I mean, there are so many things that you said. You've named so many different artists and inspirations that you've had along the way, and something that you did mention was kind of the abstractness of like certain types of music, and I guess, do you prefer that type of, like, that more freedom that comes with abstraction, like, rather than, I mean, I guess, like, all music has different, like, files and, like, styles and rhythms and things like that, but I guess, like, there is that aspect of abstraction that comes with creating your own music, and like this, the ways that you can move and transform within that. So I guess, like, has that been something that has attracted you to, I guess, this genre of music, or making music, like that ability to be abstract and express yourself in various ways?
Oh, absolutely. It's incredible that I mean, there's no limitation to what you can create with any type of music, but electronic music in especially, because you can kind of re-loop stuff and recycle things, and there's endless possibilities, and every year somebody does something and everybody's like, wow, like that's incredible. And so I feel like electronic music is just always climbing in a new direction, and it's always experimenting. And I do love that part about it. Yeah, that it's like a journey, and every year somebody does something that's just mind blowing in every genre, So I just think that's so cool that it's really a frontier of possibilities.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that's it's really amazing. And since there are so many possibilities, it also makes it very difficult, because I've tried making some music off of just like some music making apps and things like that, and even just with a limited amount of options that are on those apps or on those programs, it's still so much to try to put together things to make it even sound like it's kind of moving in some kind of flowing state. But I mean, I guess with that abstraction comes like so many possibilities, as you said, but also it makes that art of creating it, I think, so much more difficult, and so much more like uh, it makes it something that, like, I respect and admire, because of how much work it takes to put all that together to make one song.
Right.
So I guess, like, with that, and I mean, like, you have your inspirations, and you have, like, the music that you make, and the creativity that comes from that. I guess, how has all of that together, like, impacted your life, just like this music being introduced into your life and making it?
Oh man, I mean, incredible. I think music is a friend. I feel like every song that you have a relationship with, by any artist or by any genre, is a personal relationship, and so you and that song have a very personal relationship. There's chemicals. There's a physiological way to explain that too, with oxytocin and whatnot. But I think there's something much more going on as well on top of that, where you really feel like you and a certain song have a very personal relationship, to the point where you would, like, imagine yourself. Now, don't get me wrong, I do this, but maybe not everyone does this, but you kind of imagine yourself as the subject of that song, and it feels like you're very much in a close relationship with what that song means and the meaning of your life. It seems like an illusion, and who knows, but it also could mean, like, that you and that song do have a very special place, that there's kind of a meditation that happens that you can go to together, and you and that song have created, like, a portal of sorts, where you can go back to that song and feel a similar way that you felt when you first created that portal. It's almost as if the space that you create with experiencing music you can always go back to it, which
It's like
is
a doorway.
it's kind of amazing. It's like it'll still be the same feeling that you got 10 years ago, and you're like, wow, I haven't felt that in so long, or I hadn't like thought of that, emotion, or you like start smelling springtime 2010 or whatever. You know what I mean? Like crazy shit happens.
Yeah.
It's like this crazy nostalgic experience. I can only describe it as like a place, like a sacred place.
You know,
So,
I think that's really amazing that you brought that up because I think that that's something that speaks true to so many people where, I mean, I guess not even in the domain, I'm sure like it's a different level, like creating music and like kind of falling back into your own emotions or your own mindset in a different place or a different state of mind. But I mean, just like even people that are listeners and admirers of music, I mean, as you said as well, that like just that connection that people feel, and I think that that's something that's so special too about the artists that are making the music is that they bring a certain amount of emotion, they bring a certain amount of themselves to it, and that kind of intimacy, that intimacy with like the true self and like what's coming from within. I think that's what touches people, and that's what like gets that kind of chord that connects them to that music, and it makes that space like something that's like that makes them feel like they are part of that music, that they are
right.
the subject of that music, as you said, and it's something so special. I think that's amazing.
Right. Yeah, it really is. It really is special. It's a healing medicine. It really is. I think everybody could agree, even if you don't consider yourself a music critic or a aficionado, I think everybody can relate to the fact that it really draws emotions, and it really holds good things and sad things and everything under the sun. It can really make you feel remember things. It can really bring things to the surface that maybe aren't present at the moment, but it's really, yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and I guess something that like I've always been interested in knowing is that like as an artist and someone that creates music and kind of has certain parts of themselves in their performing this music, I feel like that's kind of double exposure where you're not only exposing yourself to be right in front of these people that you don't know, but also exposing your music to the world and exposing your music to people that you may not know. And I guess how is that like just in the performing aspect of it?
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess performing, I've performed. It feels great. It's definitely interesting looking around, and you think, well, I wonder if they'll adapt to this song, and you'll put songs on your playlist and never even play them too, because you're just don't feel them at the time,
Hmm.
but just adapting to the environment, I guess. And then but as far as people hearing your music on all over the world, I think the audience, that is the internet, is such an amazing thing, because I have, you'll have, I don't have a million plays or anything or anywhere close to that. But if one person in Russia listens to my track, I'm like, hey, that's pretty neat. Like
Yeah.
somebody in a way different context is having a listen to something I made in the guest room. It's like, it's kind of a trip. And you'll get love from random ass people. You make a track that somebody in France was like, wow, that shit's cool, and they download it, and you're like, oh, thanks, man. It makes you feel good that, like, even if it's just that one person, that somebody heard it and also felt like they were in a similar space as you, or took their own thing from it. But either way, they appreciated it.
Yeah. And I guess that kind of like brings me to this idea is like, there are so many people that love music, that aspire to making music, yet there is this world that so many people are creating music, so many people are kind of putting out content, and like it can be very discouraging. I guess what would you say for people that are pursuing music, that are kind of like seeing this vast world of like many things out there and may feel intimidated to kind of pursue?
Oh, well, I mean, I think it's so important to remember that it's so much fun. I mean, just have fun. Like, it's so much fun. You just open up GarageBand. Most people have GarageBand. If you don't have GarageBand, you can download some versions of some, pretty basic music editing software. Start throwing some clips up. Watch YouTube videos. You can learn everything on YouTube. I mean, it's amazing what you can learn on YouTube. You're like, oh, I want to make a synthesizer sound like this really cool synthesizer, and you just look it up on YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think just go for it. Just dip your feet in, like, and think of it, and don't take it so seriously, and think of it like painting. It's like everyone paints sometimes, once or twice in their life. Like it's not a big deal. Like but not everybody sits down and says, "Oh, I'll just try to make a track real quick," because it's not necessarily just a paintbrush, but at the same time, it's not that hard. Like anybody can do it. It's just a program. Everything's a function. You just got to learn one thing at a time. I still only know a percentage of what could be done, but I feel like I have enough tools to create things that I want to hear, and that's good for me at the moment. And I'm going to continue to learn. But I started just like everybody else, like playing one instrument, and you just open up an instrument and press some buttons, see what happens. Like, there's no losing, and there's no doing it wrong. And so there's nothing to be scared of, really. I think the equipment nowadays, you can, if you have a laptop, you can get a laptop for like, I don't know, a couple $100 nowadays that doesn't have a CD port or anything, but you can download a GarageBand or just something simple, Fruity Loops, whatever, something cheap. They have student discounts on a lot of these programs, and just go for it. Like I saw a saying recently, and I think it was about a car, these car people, car aficionados or car enthusiasts, but it said passion over status, and I just really liked that saying, because I think personally I've always gotten caught up in like oh, am I going to be good enough? Is this going to be received well? And I'm very self-critical of my work, and sharing it. But it's really important to remember that I'm doing this because I'm passionate about it, and not because I need status or I need to prove something to anybody. So, I guess, yeah, don't be scared. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's just like making art. You can keep it for yourself, or you can sell it at the farmer's market,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really amazing. I think that you hit a few good points, just like the idea of just doing it for the love of like what you want to do, and that when you do it that way, it's kind of like there is no wrong way to do it, because you're just doing it for yourself, and you're kind of learning along the way. And I think that everything in life is kind of a process in some way, and it's going to feel weird in the beginning. It's going to feel like maybe you're doing something wrong, and there's always that idea of comparing yourself to the other or like someone else. And I think that that's always kind of where we get caught up in not taking that step forward, is always seeing yourself as maybe not being good enough, or not being at a certain place where you can do that. And I think that everyone's at the place that they can do that if they feel as though they're ready to start doing that.
Right. Exactly. Yep. Well said. And the fact that I the way I feel about inspiration too, and just feeling like you have a good workflow, is it's kind of like riding a wave. In a way, there's some times when you can get back on that wave later in the year or later in the week or whatever, and there's sometimes when you'll never ride that wave again. Like, I've started tracks and I've been like, wow, this is really fun, and then you just can't get back on that wave again, and it just sits there forever, and that's fine. Or there's times when you start a track and you're like, yeah, this isn't that great, and then you revisit it a few weeks later and you can make something all new out of it, and it's because you see it in a much different way. And so, yeah, I think just go and create a bunch of stuff, and just keep making new ones. If you get bored, make a new one, whatever. You can go back later and be like, oh, yeah, I was doing that before, so I'm going to get back on that train. And, yeah, so, yeah, there's no rules.
Nice. Yeah, just start the project and kind of see where it takes you.
Totally.
Well, Torin, thank you so much for being here. I guess there is something else I want to ask you. You have your music up on SoundCloud, right?
I do, yeah. You can find my music at soundcloud.com/SnackieChan. That's SnackieChan. And then you can also find my music at soundcloud.com/BitTorryn, BITTORYN, for some older stuff if you want to get trippy. And yeah, and so there's some music up there. There will be more as time goes on.
Very nice. Would you say that I guess if someone were to go to your page and want to pick out like a track, like is there a specific track that you're like definitely a fan of, or that you would kind of put out there, or you just like, hey, listen to all of them? And well, I mean, of course, listen to all of them, but
yeah, totally. Yeah, I put up a bootleg of a Sade track recently, which is pretty. I enjoy it. It's a minimalistic track, but it's really pleasant. Don't sue me for doing the bootleg remix, but And then I also got another one up there called Mushroom Love that I would definitely like people to hear.
Mushroom
Uh,
Left.
seems it's nice and dissonant, but then it also has a driving force to it.
Very nice. Well, I kind of want to do an episode where it's like kind of more on the creative side of like people creating things and doing things like that, and maybe exemplifying some of these like snippets of people's creativity. And so, I mean, I'd be happy to have you back on the show at some point down the line.
Oh, I would love that. Please, yeah, that'd be great.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
Torn, again, thank you so much. Everyone, please go to SoundCloud, go to social media pages to listen to Torn's music. It's really great, and it's something that he's created. So I think that's really, really amazing. So
Well, thank you so much, Ty, and many blessings on your podcast. It's been a pleasure to listen to so far.
thank you so much, Torn, and yeah, thanks for being here again. You can go to the email page, everything.sunpodcast@gmail.com, to send some emails in, some topic ideas or some thoughts about this episode or any episode. You can go to the social media pages on Instagram, everything.sunpodcast. You can go to Twitter, every sun podcast, or you can go to the Facebook page and join the group at Everything Under the Sun with Ty. So thank you all. Love you, and I will see you next time.